Okay, this is an expansion on my last video on different types of oppositions or contrarities or complementarities or polar words, however you want to put it. I've narrowed it down to three types of opposition that I can so far, uh, see as being significant in the differences. Okay, so I'm on this constant quest to do a short video, and that's what we're gonna try to do. So just to grasp the difference between these three types of oppositions, the first one would be an increase or decrease, or an opposition by degree. Think of the stock market. The stock market goes up 10 points. Let's see, it goes up 10 points, and then it goes down 10 points. You're only moving forward here. You got, you're moving, you get up or up, down, up, down, up, down, but you're always moving in one direction through time. If you went, uh, if your stock went up 10 degrees, let's see, this is so confusing to do this with the camera. If your stock went up 10 degrees and then it went back down 10 degrees, it wouldn't go back down the same way. It would go up 10 degrees and then down 10 degrees. You always move forward. It's not reversible. So you can return back to baseline in the stock market without taking the same path, so to speak. It's not reversible. Okay, so differences in degree are not the sorts of things which are reversible. Instead, they are it's usually when the units of the series, or the units of whatever is increasing and decreasing, if you want to say that there are units, are usually like a homogeneous. So if the temperature increases 10 degrees and then decreases 10 degrees, each degree is, e equal to this, is the same as the next. So the change from 1 degree to 2 degrees is the same as going from 15 degrees to 16 degrees. If you're thinking about that same thing on a logarithmic scale, 1 degree to 2 to 2 to, from 1 to 2 would be way bigger than, say, 9 to 10. 9 to 10, you're only increasing, uh, you're only increasing by, I don't know, you're only increasing by gosh, what would it be? I guess one ninth. I guess you could say. I don't know if that would still work out. Anyway, where you're increasing by 1/9 from 9 to 10, but from 1 to 2, you're doubling. So that there's a big difference between 1 to 2 is a way bigger jump. There's a double compared to 9 to 10. So at any rate, the point is that in a logarithmic scale, you don't have these homogeneous units, but when you're doing oppositions by degree, you usually have homogeneous, uh, juxtaposed, as Bergson would say, parts extra partes. So you'd have like feet, 10, when we spatialize, uh, when we measure through geometric space rather than what we call lived space, we use feet, which are all perfectly homogeneous units that we use, and it's very useful. Okay, so that's that's one type of opposition. It's between two poles which are usually interdependent, like hot and cold, light and dark. You can't raise one without having an opposite and inverse effect on the other. Second type is differences. Let's see, which one should we do next? Differences or opposition by series. In an opposition by series, you have heterogeneous units. So and it is potentially, at least in principle, reversible. So if you're doing a chemistry experiment and you mix chemical A with chemical B and you get chemical C, maybe it's not possible to go from C back to A and B, but it is at least conceivable that you could reverse the process. If you go into the kitchen, you make a sandwich, you bring it back, you eat it, you could in principle reverse that and go back. You know, it's a reversible thing. So remember, the stock market was up 10 points, you know, and then it would go down 10 points. It was you know, so it wasn't like, but in this one, this other one we're talking about, which is opposition by series, you go up 10 points, down 10 points. You actually can reverse on the same path rather than rising and falling by degree, rising and falling by degree. Um, it's a opposition by series, which is an evolution, a qualitative change. The first one was quantitative. The second one is a qualitative change, um, which is conceivably like reversible in time, but you know, it's this is different because it's a we're calling it opposition by series. Okay, so it's qualitative and it's an evolution and a counter evolution. You know, so I could get more or less angry, and then I could, you know, I could go from being neutral to angry, but but you could always imagine the process where like you would hit the reverse button and I would go from angry and I would like go back to being normal again, which would be different than if I were to get really angry and then calm back down again, which you know which is one direction in time. It's just these are differences in mainly in just conceptualizing and measuring things, I think. I think that second one still needs to be worked out more clearly as to what evolution and counter evolution here are going to mean. But the third one is, and we're going to use the difference between love and hate. The third one is opposition by sign. Okay. Well, actually, first let's use the idea of a credit card like balance. If you um, were to if you had a credit balance of $30 and you spent $10, it would decrease by 20, but it would decrease by 10. If you put $10 in, or you gained interest, it would increase by $10. Now that is different. That's the opposition. The first one we talked about, opposition by degree. You're going up a degree, down a degree. Opposition by sign would be to have a credit of $30 or a debt of $30. Decreasing, if you have a balance of $30 and you decrease it by $30, is different than having a debt of $30. So you see the difference between opposition in sign and opposition by degree. Another example would be opposition by degree would be like feeling sexually attracted towards someone, more attracted to them, less attracted to them. You know, it's successively, more or less, more or less. You never have simultaneous change on the same plane, the same pole, which is sexual attraction. But with this opposition of signs, you have sexual attraction, and instead of your sexual attraction going up or down, you might something happens, and all of a sudden you feel repugnance for that person. So there's a flip. So there's a difference between decreasing your sexual attraction for someone or increasing it on one plane and going from sexual attraction to repugnance. Because even if your sexual attraction towards someone decreases, you still are sexually attracted to them, which is different from going from sexual attraction to repugnance, where you have no sexual attraction and you have actually flipped the sign. Okay, last 30 seconds, I would say that space is, you know, you have an infinite number of possible, I mean, what would another one be? I guess you have 2 billiard balls, and this is B exerting a force on A, and A exerting a force on B. So you have 2 forces coming at each other, which would be different from having one force and in one direction and just doing an increase and decrease, right? So these are all different ways to think about oppositions. Thanks.